What does it mean to be honored? To be honored amongst your peers and those that have partnered for your courage tonight. What does that mean? You would have probably traded it to not go through what you've gone through physically, but getting that honor out there, what did it mean, Liam?
To be honest, everything happens for a reason. I said in the little video that out of all the people I know, I feel like I'm rather well adept to be able to adapt to something like this than a lot of people. I think I have a very positive attitude, and look, if this is what had to happen to me for me to make a difference in some sort of community, that's something that I'm willing to go through, because you know what? Now me talking about it, receiving things like this, it brings a little bit more of awareness to the community. And anything I can do to help out that next person, because there was a lot of people there that are going through something very similar to me, that now I'm getting a chance to speak on their behalf is huge.
So whatever you can fill in the faith. I mean, doesn't matter if you're a deacon or if you're an angel, whatever you are. But here's my thing: you now have an assignment, and I think you know it. How often do you hear from people, whether it be through social, bumping into someone at Costco, wherever, that says, "Hey, man, thank you, you inspired me"? And how much does it mean to you? How often do you hear from people?
Less on the inspired, so more about their own story. I love hearing about, not necessarily love hearing about people's diseases
I
they're going
understand.
through, but when people come to me like, oh, I'm battling, and it's the quick 5 minute conversation of, oh, how are you doing? What, like, if you don't mind me asking, what stage were you? What was your chemo? Just things like that, because the big thing now I want to remove is the stigma from the word cancer and stigma from the word chemotherapy. And the more we talk about it, the more we're open about it, the more that kind of loses its edge, because as with cancer research going forward, it's increased the survival rates 30% in the last 30 years. And when you really take that into account, like I was doing a chemotherapy that I didn't lose my hair. That's one of the big stigmas that everyone thinks about. It's always one type of chemo, they lose their hair, they're going to be sickly and frail. I ended up gaining weight instead. So kind of just easing people into it and know that this isn't a death sentence. This isn't the end. Your will and your power can help you get through this.
What place did it put baseball in your life to go through this? Did it shift it? Did it stay the same? Where did your perspective on this game go when you battled cancer?
Look, I'm a baseball tragic, so no matter what happens, I'm watching the game, I'm listening to the game, I'm falling asleep while watching the game. But for me, it was the driving force of how I was able to make sure I got back. And that was one thing that I really focused on was, I'm getting back this year. It doesn't matter what happens. There will be a game where I pitch in the big leagues this year for the Chicago White Sox. And that happened on May 29th, a lot earlier than a lot of people thought. But that was my goal at every point in time. I asked our GM not to put me on the 60-day IL because I think I can beat this. I know I can get back before this. Let me try and let me attempt to. And that was that little driving force. I was at the field every single day other than the week I had chemo. It was just, it was what helped me.
It's funny, you being a baseball tragic, as you said, and also a massive fan. It was 2019, you were in A, and we toured around your complex representing Rawlings, and you were our tour guide. You're passionate about the sport, but speak to me a little bit about, on a lighter note, these guys, this brand, your gloves, your love for gloves, the different kinds of gloves. Speak to me about it.
Yeah, so I've been with Rawlings since 2012. I was talking to Stevie Cohen about it earlier, who's one of the reps who runs around, but that was the pinnacle for me. Like I was with a different company before that, and Rawlings was the pinnacle. That's what everybody aspired to be, and when they offered me a contract, I jumped at the chance, and it doesn't matter what happened since, I am a Rawlings guy now. And that's what the brand means to me. It means excellence. It means this is the best leather in the game, and this is what I'm going to wear, and if I want to be the best player, this is what I'm going to go out there in. And it tries. I've worn the same exact glove since 2016. It's got stains all over it. It's different colored now because of the sun and all this sort of stuff, but that's my gamer, and it only comes out for games, but it's lasted me, 8 years now? And so that just shows you the quality of their product.
That's incredible. So no new glove as of.
I mean, I get the new gloves. I want to send them out so I can
What
break
do
them
you
in.
do with? Do you smell a new glove? The leather. What goes on when you first?
It's always the smell. The smell, I tighten the ones that I'm going to use. So every year I get my practice glove, and the gamer doesn't get touched until the regular season games or sometimes spring training games, depending. But yeah, it's just you mess around. You can change color schemes. It's all sorts of things. But open it up, and then I keep the foam bits. It's every time you get a Rawlings glove, you get this little foam bit in it. The foam bit's still in it.
Really?
It's an 8-year-old foam bit that's still in my gamer that kind of travels around with me. And I mean, they're your babies. If I didn't have that, I wouldn't have a job.
Don't you feel like it's kind of the man's handbag? It's the man's Louis Vuitton. You're repping a good brand right there, but I swear a good glove is equally as good as like a high-end Louis Vuitton bag.
Well, I think they smell better than them, but that's just me, and that's just what I do for a craft. But yeah, it rivals for me like the new car smell. When you get into something, it just smells nice, and it just makes you feel pretty.